Whoa. Yeah. Stephen Darnell. They used to tell me I was gonna fail. Get real, what you dreaming is a fairy tale. Every ounce of my soul I be pouring out. See me on the rise, tell the truth, you believe me now. They used to tell me I was gonna fail. Get real, what you dreaming is a fairy tale. Every ounce of my soul I be pouring out. See me on the rise, tell the truth, you believe me now.
Welcome to the OKC Renegades Podcast. What you're hearing right now is Stephen Darnell's Believe Me Now, music courtesy of F4A Radio. F4A Radio exposing you to music. Link to their radio station in the description. Not suitable for all ages, FYI. Anyway, welcome to the return of the OKC Renegades Podcast. Actually, I am your host, Christian Bachkalupi, wide receiver for the OKC Renegades. And today on a return episode, as we get ready for season 27, we're going to go over last season's schedule, see what happened, and then look at the coming season schedule, season 27. So let's get to it. So last season, there we go. We started the season against the Washington Trident, a top team, and they really took it to us, 41-7. The thing with the first game of the season, you can kind of blame the unknown for what happened, but when you follow that up in week 2 with a 45-3 loss to Arizona, you can tell we didn't have things together. Then in week 3 in Bossier City, I have notes for some of these games. It was a game that came down to just running out of time. It was kind of back and forth. Bossier City scored last. One of our biggest problems we'll see in some of these games is our prevent defense wasn't preventing anything. So Bossier City came down, scored. We tried to come back and score. We just didn't have the time. I mean, the last play was a 4th and 5, but you're throwing it deep just to try to get a touchdown. If we had a little more time, we can get in field goal range instead of trying to throw bombs to get a touchdown. And that's what happened with that game. It was a very close game and one that could have gone our way. And that'll be another theme of this. Games that were very close and could have gone our way, which would have changed the whole season. Moving on to the next game, where we faced Lexington Miners at home, our home. And that was our first win, 34-24. At half, it was 28-24 OKC. So we only scored one. Hold on a second. 34-24. Let me double check something here. Because while I was going through notes, there was a game that the final score is different than it's not correct on the schedule. But yeah, so we kicked 2 field goals in the second half, and that was the only offense in the second half against the Lexington Miners after a 28-24 first half. So at this point, 1/3 of the way through the season, we're 1-4. We move on to facing Los Angeles, where we have another game that comes down to the final play. This one, we were in the red zone. We're down 35-30, and we throw an interception. But again, that was more because we're running out of time. We have more time in the red zone. You're not forced to pass. the save clock and whatnot. So a little more time, and we could have pulled that one out. Or even the play before that, I can't quite tell what happened, and they don't really go into what happened, but it was thrown to what looked like a wide open receiver. The wide receiver spins around, and I don't know, like he threw it to the wrong shoulder, or like I watched that play a couple times and I still can't tell what happened, and they didn't show instant replay. But again, that's the second game that could have gone either way and just didn't go for us. And moving on, we face the Detroit Maulers, who, for one, I have a problem. We'll get into that. We lose that one. This might be the game that they had the wrong score on. Hold on. Pull that up. No, that's soccer. There we go. No. That one, that one was 31-21. That one was a lot closer. They came out, had a 21-7 lead, and then we kept getting it close, but couldn't get over that hump to get it to where it was, in our favor. And then, like I was about to say, I had a problem with their graphic when they won. They had what looked like a fighting game, and their little Mauler cat, stupid looking thing, like beating our skeleton cowboy, and they had it look like a perfect victory, which it was far from. That was a very good game, and it was very close for a 10-point game. Moving on, we go to Alabama to face the Birmingham Hellhounds, and they put up 51 on us. We scored 24, but our defense... You know what? I'm not even going to say. I didn't check that game because any games was a big loss. I didn't really double check what happened, but there definitely were games last season where the offense just left the defense high and dry all night. I'm not sure if that was the case with that game or one of the other ones, but there were some last season like that. And then moving on, we then faced the Florida Storm at home, where we put it on them 27-24. Our prevent, from what I remember, is what made that game so close. But we come out on top 27-24. And then our next game, we face the Carolina Skyhawks, and we put it on them at home. All our wins were at home. Beat them 35-17. Carolina had a real tough time last season, and we took advantage of that. And after that, we go to Albuquerque. I have notes on that one. And that was another one where, kind of like the Detroit game, they got out to not a huge lead, but a decent lead. One where it was like, we let them score again, it's out of hand, we score, we're right in it. That one we were trying to make up 2 scores. We scored, kicked off to them, and then they killed 3 minutes of clock. And then, we didn't get our second chance. So you could say we ran out of time. Maybe we would have been able to get the ball back. Maybe we don't. Maybe they go down and score. But that one, you maybe could have gone either way. Let me see here. I'll double check something. I think, and that was another game where our prevent at halftime prevented nothing. And then we ended the season at home against Vancouver in our worst offensive performance of the year to the eventual champions, which I don't care. We shouldn't put up 0 against anyone. And that was a 34-0 loss. And that is how last season went. Now for a little break between talking about schedules. In other SFL news, congratulations to the Mississippi Generals and Chris Porter, aka Poe Politicking, my boy, on getting the one spot for the SFL Minors, if you don't know what the M stood for. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do, what kind of players they produce, and if any of them end up in Oklahoma City next year. Before we get into this coming season schedule, let's give a little shout out to our players from last season and how some of them did in All-Star voting. As my notes slowly scroll, there we go. Alright, so first off, shout out to Johnny Pickler, finished 7th in All-Stars voting. Didn't get in there, but that's a good sign. With a slight improvement in the offense, that'll open things up for him to possibly get into the All-Star game next year and be a top 5, 4, 3, 2, the best quarterback in the league. Also, shout out to Tiberius Bovine, the number 1 tight end in the league last year, number 1 in voting for tight ends. As well as seeing who else deserves a shout out. Shout out to Mike Cross, who got into the All-Star game at middle linebacker. Ted Riggs did pretty good in the voting, but didn't make it as an outside linebacker. Shout out to Rick Evans, who's the number 3 cornerback in the league last year, according to All-Star statistics. Free safety, we didn't have anything. What am I thinking? Todd Risby finished 8th in All-Star voting, missed out. He was like second team All-Stars, I would say. So he missed out. Top 4 got in, and he finished 8th. Oddly enough, Mike Ryan, the new safety on the team, finished 9th. Moving on. And I think that's about notable All-Star vote getters. Wait, no, there is one. We were voted, or not voted, they use statistics, which I love. I'm not a huge fan of All-Star voting, but OKC Renegades O-line finished 7th in All-Star voting, or All-Star statistics. Anyway, we only gave up 17 sacks. Is that right? That's a lot better than this team that gave up 49. Another one gave up 35, 27, 22, 28. Okay, now let's get to this upcoming schedule. Okay, let's look at this schedule here. I'm going to go over the schedule, and then I'm going to make some teams mad with some semi-predictions as it relates to our goals this year. Obviously, championship is the goal, but you have what some people would call realistic goals. Whatever. Undefeated championship. That's what's going to happen for us this year. Anyway, let's go through the schedule. We start off at home, opening week, against the former SFLM team, the Philadelphia Cougars, and we christen them, and hopefully we'll christen them with a win. Okay, I'm not going to get into predictions yet. Then after that, we go to Miami. Follow that up back home against Chicago. Then we have a 2-game road trip as we hit up Arizona, then Vancouver, and then we come home for a bye, and we wait for Washington Trident. Going into the second half of the season, we go to Carolina. Then we go home to face Mexico City. And then we're on the road to Albuquerque. So we get Mexico City and then New Mexico before we get a bye. Then we're off to Lexington for our final away game. And then we go home for a 2-game homestand as we face Los Angeles Lycan and then the Anchorage Wolves. I blanked on their name for a second. Alright, so in the locker room we've talked, and we believe anything worse than 6-6 would be a huge disappointment. Again, obviously the goal is championship. Even better, undefeated season championship. Make it to the playoffs, you know. But for a team this is our 4th season back. 1 win season 1, 2 win season 2, 3 win season 3. 4 is not enough. We need at least 6. And these are how we look at all these teams. So first off, Philadelphia. First off, it's week 1. Week 1, unless you have a team that just crushed it last year and hasn't had a lot of turnover, and they're facing a team that was not good the year before. If you don't have that situation, a lot of these games are coin flips because people aren't quite sure what they have. They don't know what the other team's doing. So it's really kind of a question of what do you do? So that game is a coin flip. After that, we go to Miami. Miami was the worst team in the league last year? 2-10. 2-10, and Carolina was 2-10. But I think Miami had either way, the bottom 2 team. We expect that to be a win. Then we face Chicago. Chicago finished 4-8. We feel like we should be able to beat them. And personally, I have a chip on my shoulder about them. I mentioned it on AJ Stryker's podcast, SFL Nights with AJ Stryker. Not last season, but the season before. We were supposed to play them mid-season when we were still kind of clicking and they were having troubles. And there was I don't know what happened, or I forget what happened. And the whole league had an unexpected bye week. So our game against Chicago went to the back of the season. Well, by the time we got to the end of the season, hold on. So our last 2 games ended up being against Chicago. So by then, Chicago's kind of clicking on all cylinders. And for us, we had a minimal roster. We lost a bunch of players. And when you have like a minimal roster, that's less people progressing. So we face a different Chicago than we should have at the end of the season. And they just took it to us twice in a row, and that got them into the playoffs. And there was 2 embarrassing games. And part of it was we lost players, and we couldn't progress. And I think that the game is a lot different if it had been at mid-season. So that game we have as a win. Then we face Arizona. Arizona finished. Is that our first? Yeah, Arizona is our first division game. Arizona finished 6-6. I'm putting them as a coin toss because if they got worse, and if we're clicking on all cylinders, that could go either way. That one's kind of like a too early to tell because I don't know what we're, no one knows what we're really gonna see from Arizona, and you really don't know what we're gonna see from us though. But Arizona definitely has the ability to be a championship contender next year, or they might just be another 6-6 team or worse. So we're putting that as a coin flip. So we have 2 wins, 2 coin flips. And now we have Vancouver and Washington, which we are definitely the underdogs. So we're not putting that as expected wins, but we're definitely, we're not trying to win those games. Just, the games that you have the best chance, and those 2 probably aren't our best chance. Then we go on to face Carolina. In Carolina, they are Miami 2-10, Carolina 2-10. And we beat Carolina last year. I think that was our biggest win. We expect to win that game. And then after that, we have Mexico City, who was 8-4, the number 2 team, I believe. Could have been number 1 because Birmingham was 8-4 as well. But if we're talking about a team as good as Birmingham, we saw what they did to us. Birmingham did to us. So if Mexico's on that level, that's another game we can't. We're definitely the underdogs. Then you got Albuquerque, who, like I said, that one maybe could have gone either way with a little more time. Putting that one down as a coin flip. So right now we have 3 coin flip games. 3 games we expect to win, and then 3 games we are underdogs. Then we have that bye. We go to Lexington. That's a game we expect to win again. And then Los Angeles. That's a game we expect to win. And then you got Anchorage, who's 8-4 last year. That's another underdog game. So goals and when we chose 6-6 as the minimal goal this year, that's after looking at the schedule. So looking at this, we have 1, 2, Miami, Chicago, Carolina, Lexington, Los Angeles. That's 5 games we expect to win. And then you have 1, 2, 3 coin flips. So let's even say one of those games we expect to win is a coin flip. And it goes 50-50. That's 6. That's kind of how we got 6-6. But 7-5, definitely doable. But yeah, that's how I see the schedule. I think a lot of our teammates will agree. We will actually have interviews next week with players from the team, talking about why they joined, get their thoughts on the schedule, get their thoughts on the upcoming game, and all that good stuff. So thank you for joining us for the return of the OKC Renegades Podcast for season 27. Look forward to having you back next week. Like I said, we'll have interviews, be able to see some people's faces, not just this OKC Renegade logo as a screen. And we'll see you then. We'll play us out with a song called Don't Worry, Everything Will Be Fine from BJ Sam featuring a bunch of other people. And we'll see you next week. Oh, happy Christmas in July. This Saturday? Friday? Saturday, I think. Peace.
So now the sunshine. Please put yourself up. It's not the end of the world. If you don't give it up yourself, you'll surely be smiling again.
I know it may seem there's too much for you to burn, but remember, without the bees there would be honey.
Have to cross the desert before reaching the promised land. As long as you're breathing, you still have opportunity to make it.
Mon ami, ne laisse pas tomber. Et mon ami, tu peux te relever. Après l'orage, tu sais, le soleil réapparaît. Après l'orage, tu sais, le soleil réapparaît.
Ungawari, no magunyama. Ungesabi, kusekeleleni. Kona, nase